All right, guys, welcome to the market update for the Monday, the 15th of February. This is Trader Worth the Risk, or some of you guys who know me in person, my name's Dario Angelo.
Awesome. And my name is Amol. I am with Alpha Trades. Dars and I decided to do a video together and give y'all the market update on our thoughts on what's happening in crypto. So I will let Dars start off first with Bitcoin, and then we'll kind of have an interactive discussion back and forth. We'll discuss altcoins and other things on our mind.
All right, guys, so just wanted to give a quick overview of what I'm potentially seeing on Bitcoin at the moment. So on the screen here, we have a pattern that's, well, it's not actually completely formed just yet, but it's a pattern that's called the rising wedge, and it is a bearish pattern, but more often than not, the pattern actually breaks to the downside. As you can see, point B here, it breaks down here, and instead of going down, it comes back up, and at point C, we see a breakout. It traps all the short sellers and it continues up. So I think that's the most likely probability here, but it's still too early to tell what's going to happen. So earlier we had Elon Musk announce his purchase of 1.5 billion dollars of Bitcoin, and we saw this massive spike here. And then we kind of paused and we started like zigzagging back and forth. And now we've potentially got this formation. So it's got four touches. Sorry, it's got five touches. It needs five touches to be valid, and then we can potentially have the breakout. So underneath 48,000, we can potentially see this pattern breakout downwards. But it's still a possibility for that to be brought up instantly. And if we close back inside the pattern here and get a nice bounce, uh, it's likely we'll see the stops trigger from a lot of short sellers if we get back above here, and then we can continue pushing above 50,000. Or the rising wedge can actually continue down, and then we have this strong kind of area here. As you can see, we bounced from here. 44,900 to 43,700 is a potential kind of support area. Underneath there, then we're going to be looking back towards the $40,000 region as a next support. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But while the price of Bitcoin, as you can see, it kind of has a move upwards and then it moves sideways a bit. While it continues to move like this and not trending like really strong upwards, I personally believe it's really good for the altcoin markets. I'm talking altcoins paired with Bitcoin. Specifically, if you trade with USDT pairs, they usually just follow what Bitcoin does in general. So I like to look at the Bitcoin dominance just to get an idea of, if you don't know what the Bitcoin dominance is, it's if you look at the total cryptocurrency market as a percentage, like 100%. So using this chart, Bitcoin currently controls 61.6% of that market. So when the Bitcoin dominance rises in percentage, it's a sign that a lot of the money in the market is going into Bitcoin, and the total percent of the of Bitcoin's holding of the market is rising. So when the Bitcoin dominance actually decreases, it's a sign that money is flowing into altcoins. And right now, looking at this, you can see that we've come down to this kind of demand area. So demand area is where something increased in value from earlier, as you can see here. And we've kind of bounced from this area, and we've had this kind of sell off over the weekend on the alts. So what I'm watching for here is if this continues up above 62.3%, we have this kind of support area here as well. If the Bitcoin dominance continues up above there, it's going to be a bad sign for altcoins that are paired with Bitcoin. This is probably going to head up. And then if we see a rejection here around the 65 to 66% area, we could potentially be forming like a massive head and shoulders pattern. So I'll just bring that up. So this is Head and Shoulders. I'm sure many of you know it. So you have three peaks, and the middle peak is higher with the left and right a similar height, and that's a potential sign that the price is going to continue downwards, or in this case, the dominance of Bitcoin. So if we do, if we altcoins do, we've paired with Bitcoin, do continue to retrace, and we do have a rejection up here. That's definitely going to be something to watch out for because they might pull back. And if we lose this area again, 61.5%, we can potentially have the altcoins continue to grow at a really significant rate. And we could reject, we might not even form that pattern. We might reject here, down here now, and that could happen as well. So looking at
So,
the, yep,
sorry to interrupt, Dars. The one interesting thing that I definitely agree with is the potential head and shoulders that may develop, and it's interesting that you share. If that head and shoulders starts breaking down, altcoins could appreciate, and I think that definitely helps a lot of traders who are trading altcoin BTC pairs. Now, me personally, I've not really traded that much in terms of alt BTC pairs. I'm strictly looking for
yep,
USD appreciation. And I actually found some correlations over the last several months, which is kind of to really, in a short way, to tell us we don't really know exactly what kind of correlations are happening when dominance goes down or up, and how that
100%.
impacts how that impacts altcoins and money flows. Because I used to think, back in 2017, 2018, it was a little bit more obvious, right? Bitcoin
100%.
dominance, when Bitcoin dominance drops, and if you see, say price kind of stagnating around a level, you could probably expect altcoins to break out. Like this past weekend, however, it was really strange. We actually saw Bitcoin pretty much move sideways most of the weekend. Dominance kind of popped up just, over the last 24 hours, but
Yep.
altcoins actually still dropped. I saw ETH drop, Link drop, SRM, FTT, Binance Coin, everything across the board sold off, So it's been this sort of dysfunctionality that I think a lot of traders, the old formula that we used to use is not really, the same. You can't apply it the same logical way.
Well, that's the thing. Like when with any strategy you use, or like any kind of indicator or any kind of correlation, everything changes.
Hmm.
Because the market isn't on a script. It's like a natural thing that's made up of people acting all around the world. So things are always going to change over time. The way I use like stuff like the Bitcoin dominance, it's not my 100% guarantee of something, but I definitely use it to try and increase my probabilities.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's no one indicator that can give us, buy and sell signals for Bitcoin or alts. So I totally agree with you. It's constantly like breathing sort of, markets ebb and flow, and they can always change and do whatever the hell they want to.
Yeah, definitely. It's not looking too bad at the moment, Bitcoin.
Hmm.
Might continue to push here. So what's your view on Bitcoin at the moment, dude?
Yeah. So let me just share my screen real quick. Let's do this. Um, let's see. Let's share my screen. All right. Okay. So I think for the most part of the weekend, like I said, right? Can you see my screen now, by the way?
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. So I had a couple of these levels marked out, just highs and lows of specific ranges that I was watching. And then, of course, I generally watch the weekly opens and the monthly opens. So I always mark those out, as you can see down here. So as we're going into tonight for the US time zone, we have the daily and the weekly close coming up around, what is it, 2.5 hours from now, right? I generally like to see how the weekly opens interact with price, meaning does price defend that week, or is the weekly open defended by price at a specific level, and then how does the VWAP change too? So for those of you who are watching right now, VWAP is something that I typically follow. It's the volume weighted average price. It's generally, looking at it looks like a moving average, but it's really what it's doing is pulling the volume data based on the price specific data that's moved through the span of the week. And that's how it develops this VWAP based on the weekly that I'm watching. Now you can change this to session or month or year, but I tend to watch the session and the weekly. So at present moment, this the weekly VWAP is currently around 46,150 or so. I'm expecting this to pop up somewhere here going into the closing tonight. And then I'm probably expecting, the weekly open to be somewhere around here. Now, I like to make sure that price comes back. So let's just say if this is the weekly open right here, price needs to ping that, weekly open, hold it as support, and generally to try to push up. Now, this is something that I've experienced not only in traditional markets, but especially in crypto for the last several years. Weekly, monthly, and yearly opens are incredibly important markers to be watching, and they are very well defended. And the reason I know this is because, yeah, and I know I'm sure you use this too, Dars. It's sort of an age-old trick that even stock market technicians use. We are in a world where a lot of high frequency trading happens, right? And when the high frequency trading happens, when the clock turns from hourly changes to session closes, let's just say the U.S. market hours close for me around 3 p.m. The bots can actually start recording that data of the opens, the lows, the highs, and the closes. And when you start recording that data based on the volume metrics that have transpired through the day, you can start understanding a more fuller picture of exactly which area of the market has a good amount of buyers, good amount of sellers. In this particular instance, the weekly opens and monthly opens help us understand as crypto traders if these are levels that are going to be well defended by these same large money bots and algos. And that's one of the reasons why I follow that. So anyway, going along with that, I think tonight, I'm looking for exactly where the VWAP turns up to, the weekly open opens at. And, again, I mean, tomorrow's for us in the US time zone, it's a holiday. I generally don't trade on holidays like I was telling you, and especially not really a whole lot on the weekends because a lot of the volume actually takes place, if you've noticed, through the operating hours, the stock market operating hours of the US time zone. You do see some wonky movement like through the weekend, but generally in my experience, what I've noticed is, most weekends are relatively calm. You have a decent amount of chop. You do have altcoins that are breaking out. Like earlier, you were talking about Filecoin. I saw other altcoins breaking out too, or, doing relatively well. But for the most part, most of the market kind of goes into a hibernation mode, in my opinion. And I think, that to me is like the best time to start doing homework over the weekends and trying to figure out what the market is doing. And I think at present moment, I mean, it's a very, nicely trending market, right? VWAP is very nicely defended right here. Price finds support on it, bounces off over here once again, comes close to the VWAP once again, pushes off. So I do agree with you that, maybe this can be a rising wedge. So the kind of trading that I like to pay attention to is just larger time frame trend analysis, right? And so I think any person, I mean, even an 8-year-old, right? You don't need to be a crypto trader or aficionado of charting. You can just look at this chart and you can say, all right, well, this is a chart that basically goes from the bottom left to the top right. It's a very healthy trending market. And in that trending market, what I often find is whenever you have bearish patterns like this, if you have a very healthy trending market like this, those are, in my opinion, the best patterns to bet on. Meaning, if they break down, this is a buy. If they break down a little bit further, like around these lows, this is a buy.
Yeah.
I don't mind stepping in front of the train and saying, you know what, I will take the smack if I get stopped out or price just drops significantly. I'll even leave myself a cushion just in case price drops here or towards this previous area, which was previous resistance, and it comes down here for me to double down. I'm okay with that. So when I see a rising wedge developing like this, honestly, I'm praying. I'm praying like, please break down so
Yeah.
you give me a good buying opportunity, you know? So that's kind of, where I am right now. I believe BTC is kind of, very nicely trending. I'm not seeing any issues.
Yeah, it looks pretty
As
decent.
Yeah, and what you mentioned about Tesla kind of putting 1.5 billion dollars with their free cash flow, this is something that you and I, part of the crypto space, we know that there are larger players involved in the market. So do I really give a shit about the rising wedge? And do I think that
Yeah,
that rising wedge
exactly.
is going to be the rising wedge that's going to cement the top? Probably not. I don't really care, right? What I'm looking forward to is, okay, next week probably some other news or entities going to be involved, because what I've noticed over the last several months is Bitcoin is on this hype machine, right? I mean, everybody wants a piece of it. Now that could generally not be good, when the euphoria and hype is building at the top of a very extended market. But I don't believe the market is so far extended that we've completely reached that, super FOMO hype. Do you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's a very important point to make. You know, I know a lot of people that they tend to try and that just because it's gone up, but I think Bitcoin right now is one thing that it's just not worth the risk, which is my nickname. Worth the risk. It's not worth the risk to short because although it's been going crazy and it's just gone so far. I know it makes sense. All right, we need a retrace, but there's that many people that want to get in on this market now, and now that one of the world's biggest companies and businessmen has invested, we could it's a matter of time before we just start to see more and more companies every now and then. And every time we see one of these companies, it's just going to have another price spike. So
Mhm.
I think you got
Yeah,
to be logical, and you got to try not to make rash decisions based on these kind of bearish patterns on the small time frames. If your goal is uh, to to buy Bitcoin for a longer term investment, you don't want to end up selling, and you're not a regular trader. You're not watching the market all the time, and you sell. All right, maybe it drops, but you don't pay attention, and before you know it, you come back. There's been another kind of announcement, like a big investor. The price has gone up $5,000 in a day, and
yeah,
you end up buying back into your position, which is what they want you to do, really.
yeah. I totally agree. I mean, when bigger players are trying to get in and out of the market, they basically have to engineer liquidity. You know, you can't just start market buying like crazy, like, 100 million dollars or something. You'll just drive up the price insanely. So in situations like that, I mean, if you there's a post from Michael Saylor and even some people from Tesla who started posting on Reddit. They said that they utilized Michael Saylor's formula, which was, every 30 seconds to 1 minute, they would buy $10,000, $15,000 worth of Bitcoin. And if it would drop, say 1.5%, they would buy 100,000 or they would buy 500,000. And that's how you start filling up a billion or $1.5 billion worth of BTC in a matter of days without directly impacting the market. You become the passive player in the market, let the market kind of come to you, let the market sell off and fill your bids slowly over a period of time. And it seems like this has been a pretty good playbook that Michael Saylor has laid out for people like Elon Musk. And this is good for Bitcoin because we know that it can absorb that $1.5 billion of liquidity. And we wouldn't even know that there's such a heavy hand in the market.
Yeah, people who have been dollar cost averaging, like similar, to that,
Mhm.
they've definitely been the winners. If they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. I mean, you know, I've often heard a lot of people talk about, um, why hodling is the best strategy. Now, I will say that, okay, in bull markets, like everybody looks like a genius, no matter what strategy you have. You know what I mean? Like it's not that hard to make money in a bull market unless you're relentlessly shorting.
Yeah.
Now, the real pain and strategy comes when the market starts to shift winds and it goes from full-on bull mode
when it
to
turns against
chop,
you.
yeah, exactly, to going from full-on bull mode to chop, distribution, and then markdown mode, right? And you, as someone who trades Wyckoff, I'm sure you know, I mean, Wyckoff is very simple, right? You have a base of accumulation, you have a markup, you either have a distribution or reaccumulation. You either get marked up again or you get marked down. The market is very simple when it does, these steps. You have, let me draw this out right here. So you have, maybe a reaccumulation or accumulation, markup, whatever happens in this area, either this is a distribution and you start breaking down from here, or this is a reaccumulation, you have another markup mode. The problem is in these areas, a lot of retail traders just get absolutely chopped to death, and the reason they get chopped to death is because they're not able to recognize that the market has gone from a full-blown trending environment to a potentially pause, redistribution, reaccumulation environment. In this area, very easy to get chopped up. Now, the reason I brought that up is because I think that, at present moment, the way the market is extended, yeah, we can, probably expect a bit of a pullback or retracement at some point, but I don't know if I want to be shorting actively. For example, I have not shorted since like early October last year
I
because
haven't shorted in a while.
yeah, exactly. So you totally get
There's no
where I'm
need.
coming.
There's no
Yeah,
need.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like the easiest money right now is literally to buy pullbacks. Like the market could have not given you an easier gift ever to become rich. You don't have to worry about like when will the market break down. Now, protection wise, some things that I do personally is, for example, going even into the weekends, I'll start trimming down my levered positions. If the market gets a little bit too heavy or extended to the upside, I'll trim down all my levered positions and just go into spot. I'll hang out in ETH. I will, hang out Bitcoin or Link or any of the spot pickups that I've had. This is my way of reducing risk while at the same time being exposed to the market. I think people more often than not, when they're trying to hedge, they don't understand hedging comes in different ways. Hedging doesn't
That's
necessarily
a
always.
very good
Sorry?
point to make, dude.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like what you just said there, very good point to make. Hedging, a lot of people for hedging is shorting or, going into US dollar or, whatever it is that you do to protect your account. But what you just said is something I do. And when the whole market is, like you said, it's changing phases, it's going from bullish to consolidation or, it hasn't decided if it's going to continue up yet. And most of the market goes choppy sideways. A good hedge for me is to find the good altcoin, There's always at least one or two or three a day, or over the weekend that continue to push while the others aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah,
is a good way to hedge.
yeah, that's a great strategy too. And you know, again, there's really no right or wrong strategy. It's the strategy that works for you, right?
100%.
I will always respect other people if they have something that works for them. Great, if you can repeat it, make money, do it again over and over again. Kudos. I want to learn from people who are doing stuff like that. I think for myself, I mean, kind of like yourself, I kind of just pick the spot altcoins that I've already invested into. I'll sometimes double down, move some more cash into them and just hang out more so in spot. Especially like this weekend, I only had my spot positions, then I had a ETH long, and then yesterday it just so happened to be. So we'll jump into altcoins a little bit here. You know,
Yeah, let's
um,
go for it.
yeah. So I saw this news about what was it? Paradigm and Coinbase Ventures investing about $12 to $15 million into SNX. Building out SNX. I was like, okay, fantastic. Let me jump into this. And this candle looked like it was going to break out, but it didn't. And I basically got trapped right up here, and my invalidation was down here. But over the nighttime, I basically got stopped out. So it's times like this where I realize, okay, even the weekend times, my rules that I have set for myself, which is generally not trading on the weekend, if I find something great that looks like it's breaking out, I'm going to jump in. As traders, we have to kind of stay vigilant and stuff like that. But you also have to recognize that sometimes the market conditions are not as, benevolent, right? Sometimes they just turn on you, something happens. Like yesterday, we saw SNX, Link, ETH, pretty much everything start selling off at the same time as BTC right around that same time started to, push up. So it's really interesting dynamic because that was not something that I expected. But point is, in crypto, you kind of have to always, be willing to be surprised
Be ready
because
for anything.
yeah, exactly. I mean, SNX looked so great when, I think I got in like somewhere right here in the beginning of the candle
It
and
still
pushed
looks
up
good to
all.
me. It just
Oh
looks like
yeah,
a shakeout.
yeah. I mean, so SNX, and I don't know about you, but this has been my spot pick since about $12 to $14.
Nice.
You know, yeah, and in our community, and I'll let you talk about your community in a second, but I've had some of these spot picks for a while, like FTT. This is one of my other favorite tokens. I've gotten in since $5, and I haven't really sold. I mean, this is one
Nice.
of my bigger 2021 picks, and so far we're up on the spot. We're
I've
up
been
about
calling
four.
FTT as well to my group, and I'm glad that you mentioned it because I think that exchange tokens are some of the best things you can have in your portfolio because as the crypto market and scene grows, the demand for these tokens is just going to go through the roof.
Yeah, 100%. And I completely agree with you there. Other than them being exchange tokens, um, FTX is such a massively growing exchange. Do you trade on it?
I've just started using FTX maybe a couple of weeks ago. I've traded a couple of times on it. I've just got a bit of a portfolio that I'm growing on there. I mainly trade on Binance because I do the spot margin. So
Mm,
on
okay,
BTC pairs.
gotcha. Yeah, so that's interesting because I mean I'm mostly on FTX. I started moving away from Binance like last year. I just couldn't handle the overloads and the crashes. I was like, this is just getting out of hand. And I would miss so many great opportunities in the market. And that just really annoyed me. And with FTX, I just honestly have not had a single time where I've missed out on, volatile movements in the market. Like it's never shut down on me, never froze up during very key critical times in the market. And also they just have a ton of great listings in terms of altcoins. So I've been incredibly happy with them.
Yeah, they're definitely ahead of the game with listing like new and unique stuff to invest in. That's why I hopped on for the I hopped on for the Ethereum trust, Grayscale Ethereum trust.
Oh
Just
yeah.
I just wanted to add a small amount of that to my portfolio.
Yeah, solid. Yeah, so I mean, FTT is one of my big picks, and then some of the other ones I'll talk about. SRM. Yeah, this is another one. I
Let's
got
go
into.
over Link
Oh yeah,
because
let's go over Link.
I'm looking at that one as well. So
Okay, solid. Yeah, so Link. I think I got into Link somewhere around 22 or 24 as well. I mean, of course, I've traded Link up and down, but right now I think spot I have exposure from like 22 or 23. Um, and so far it's doing well, man. I'm expecting Link like so. So I come from a traditional, market background. I started trading in 2008, 2009, right around the financial crisis here in the U.S. I was just a high school student, to be honest. And the funny story is, like, I had actually gotten access to my dad's, brokerage account, and I started trading out of it, like as an early, 16, 17-year old, and I lost him a bunch of money, and I was just like
uh,
kind of disappointed. Yeah, I was disappointed in myself, and he was disappointed too. And but my dad was really kind enough to, just be supportive, and he said, "All right, if you really want to learn how to trade, we'll open you up your own separate account." And since then, man, I just kind of fell in love with trading. Through college, even I was trading for just beer money. Like my friends would just ask me like, hey, how's that trading thing going? I used to trade alternative energies like wind energy stocks and Pacific ethanol and all these different stocks. Then I got into Forex in 2014 and 15. And then I found crypto in 2016. And since then, I mean, I've loved the market. And so to kind of tie that back to where we are right now, you know, these running consolidation patterns, right? Like I've seen this before where, you have just this rising movement where buyers are just not given deeper retracement opportunities to jump in. You basically have to kind of chase price, right? And it's not the aggressive chasing price where price is going parabolic and you have to buy here, here, here. It's actually just a nice sort of running flag like consolidation where you have in this area and price just very nicely just consolidates and rises up. And when it starts breaking out like it's doing right now, it's a very massive like upside movement that you get. Now, personally, I think that Link can make it up to at least $55, $70 by the time it starts, being a little bit shaky and tops off. That's kind of my thought. I mean, what about you?
Can I share the screen?
Yeah, there we go. There you go.
Thanks, dude. So yeah, I trade mainly BTC pairs, but I'll just go over the USDT really quickly. So this was like I was holding Link just in my spot account as well since around $16, $17. I called this kind of ugly bull pennant pattern, and I took profit at just over 26, and I left a little bit, and I was waiting for an opportunity to get back in, and this is the USDT chart. So we have a nice bull flag forming, and it looks like it's going to continue grinding up. But what I've been watching is Link BTC. I've been watching this for quite a while, and I've entered a position uh, just earlier today. I ended up buying a little bit down here. So what I'm seeing is one of my favorite setups to trade is well, there's two. There's actually two of my favorite setups that are potentially happening right here. So first of all, you can see on Chainlink on Bitcoin, we had this massive uptrend. Now, it's not really what you'd call a perfect head and shoulders, but I'm only looking at the structure of the price action. So I'm going to say it's a head and shoulders.
Mhm.
We have two similar kind of height uh, bump shoulders and the middle kind of peak. I wasn't looking to short it, so I don't. It's not that important to me if it's a valid or a nice head and shoulders. Doesn't matter. The point is that we rejected from the kind of neckline and we come down here. And one of my favorite patterns to trade is, I don't know if you've heard of it yourself. It's called the bump and run bottom. So
Yeah, the bar reversal patterns. Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you know it. There's a lot of people out there that don't actually know it. So this is the bar bottom, and this is an image I made, educational image, and the graphic it's off a real chart. So this is what the pattern should actually look like. Now you can see we have this kind of first little phase. It almost looks a little bit curved or rounded. It's usually really choppy, a lot of wicks, kind of zigzagging, and then we have this massive kind of sell-off. It's usually a 20%, around a 10 to 20%, really deep sell-off, a lot of fear in the market, and then the price kind of curves around. It almost looks like a hook shape or a letter J, and we see a breakout of this trend line. Sometimes it just goes straight up from there. Sometimes it comes back down to retest the trend line. Sometimes it comes all the way down to the bottom area before bouncing, and obviously sometimes it fails. So Link on BTC, I'll just clean this up quickly. So you can see we had this little kind of rounded section, and then we had the steep sell-off, uh, which was about, this was quite a large one. It was like 50, 60%. And now we've
Wow.
come around with that like J kind of hook shape. We tried to break out of the bar bottom and we were thrown back, which is normal price action. A lot of people like to long breakouts, and this is why I never long a breakout personally. You can see that the breakout traders got trapped. We come back down to here, and we've formed an ugly inverse head and shoulders pattern. So
Yeah,
as you
that
can
looks
see
good.
here, so now we just have to break out of this trend line here. We have I marked these areas on my chart like a long time ago, and I just leave them there. So if I'm logging on and I want to make some quick trades, I know the area is important. I just mark the SR flip level, etc. So I know that once the price gets above 82,000 sats and kind of bounces off it, we can probably see this inverse head and shoulders play out. And the area I think it's very likely to head towards to, because this is a setup I trade quite a lot. So you can see we have this, what looked to be a head and shoulders.
Hmm.
And if we get above this, the likely target for me is going to be this level.
The neckline.
Yeah, because like you said, you were watching FTT. So I've been holding FTT and BNB in my portfolio, and this was an idea I had on BNB. So uh, I was doing a bit of research into exchange tokens, and they all have coin burns. Most of them, BNB has it, FTT has it. So their supply is actually decreasing over time. Their users to the platforms are decreasing as well. I'll just bring up this BNB chart. So as you can see on the last chart I just had, this was BNB. I said to watch the head and shoulders neckline. If we get back above it, it's going to fail the downwards breakout of the pattern. And this is one of my favorite setups to trade. So you can see it's pretty similar to what I showed you on Link. We had this head and
Yeah.
shoulders. We came down here, and if you were to zoom in on the 4 hour, we actually had the same bump and run bottom down here that broke out, and that was the beginning of the failure of the head and shoulders breakout. So this is really common right now all around the market, guys. I'm seeing this pattern everywhere. Head and shoulders into the bump and run bottom. When the price gets above the head and shoulders neckline, like it's almost like short stop losses start to trigger, all the buyers start to pile in, and we see this ridiculous upside move. I'll just cover one more quickly before I throw it back to you. My charts are a little bit messy at the moment because I've had a crazy weekend of trades. So, so same
this
thing here on
this
SXP.
is
We've got
okay, SXP. Okay.
yeah, swipe. So you can see we have this head and shoulders here. We've got the bump and run bottom here, and now we're coming back into this head and shoulders neckline. If we can have a little bit of volume, a bit of a spike from this monthly kind of demand area here, then
Hmm.
SXP could potentially follow the. It looks the same as Lincoln, how BNB did as well.
Yeah. This is actually a really, really unique thing that you pointed out because, like I said, I don't really pay that much attention to the BTC pair charts. I mean, one that I've been watching definitely is Wi-Fi BTC, and
Oh yeah, it looks good.
yeah, Wi-Fi BTC looks good. I've been watching the Link BTC pair as well, but I didn't really notice that potential bar pattern developing. But I'm glad you pointed that out because that just means that I need to start going long into Link pretty heavily.
Yeah, this bar pattern, I think Link is rumored to be on Grayscale as well.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
yeah, so if you look at any single coin that's rumored to be on Grayscale, have a look at Mana. Same pattern, bar bottom, and we also had a bar bottom inside the bar bottom. So, what other coins do we have? We had the Filecoin, which was also rumored to be on Grayscale. Now, this is a massive bar bottom down here on Filecoin. It's a really ugly one, and we also had one play out down here. I got I picked the wick off accumulation on Filecoin. I just called this to my group just earlier. So if you guys don't know the wick off accumulation, I'll just bring it up quickly. So reaccumulation is after the market has an upside. It's just people are filling up their orders again, buying more of the asset before it continues upwards.
Hmm.
So this is a wick off reaccumulation. Just to put it simply, the price moves up first and then it moves between a kind of trading range. People like to get long. They get long, they put stop losses. The big guys take out the stop losses before the price comes back inside and then moves up. And they need to do that to fill their liquidity, just like you mentioned before. So these patterns are everywhere at the moment, as well as the bar bottoms and the head and shoulders failure. So Filecoin, we had that bar bottom I just showed you zoomed out, and we went straight into this massive bull flag, and now wick off, and we're potentially going to break out of this even larger one up here now. So when you see these patterns, they're definitely ones to pay attention to.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What else have we
Definitely,
got?
definitely a
Uh,
lot of patterns that are looking like they want to be marked up pretty soon, whether it's on the USD pair or the BTC pair too.
I got one more. Um, yeah, this is another of the grayscale alts. So XTZ Tezos, you've got this kind of bar bottom that's breaking out as well. And once XTZ is here, we've kind of formed a head and shoulders, just like I mentioned earlier. And you can see as soon as the head and shoulders gets back inside the pattern, it starts to go up again.
Hmm.
So I think right now XTZ is going to form a wick off range up here, like a kind of larger one. Just something like this. Basically, we're going to form another head and shoulders, uh, and as people try to get short here, they're going to become trapped, and we're going to see the wick off kind of reversal, and then XTZ is going to continue the bump and run breakout. So this is the spring. So you can see at the end of the pattern, it quickly
Hmm.
goes underneath the support and then closes back inside, just like uh, just like Filecoin did. We moved between these two areas here, and towards the end, we quickly came underneath and then inside before moving up.
Yeah, I really like the fact that you're finding all these Wyckoff, patterns or Wyckoff reaccumulation ranges that are developing, and they look pretty, clear. I mean, generally, like Wyckoff is not that clear to identify, but these look incredibly clear.
Yeah, they've been really this particular wave of wick-offs, like they're everywhere at the moment, and they've been really clear. Like ADA is another one here. This ADA USDT, and we also have one I've been watching on VeChain. So VeChain
Sweet.
is almost completed the spring phase here. It could potentially head a little bit lower, but if we get above 115 sats, I think it's going to start to move. And the reason they're everywhere and they work so well is because of the correlations. That's my personal belief, because
Yeah.
most things follow like Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin is, I haven't looked at it too in detail yet, but it looks like it's forming some kind of sorry, it could be a distribution, reaccumulation, could be anything yet. We don't know yet. But when you see Bitcoin form these kind of choppy sideways movements, it's usually when the altcoins are forming their week off ranges as well.
Yeah, and in those choppy movements, I mean, one thing that I find interesting is as soon as Bitcoin gets that one sharp drop, and then it starts trending back up, there are specific altcoins, if they're ready and geared up for the bar reversal pattern, I mean, they just really break out. Like I found it interesting that the other day, Link. almost, in my opinion, had kind of the same structure as ETH, but Link actually broke out much better than ETH did. And that's probably because what you mentioned about the bar reversal patterns that are set up very well for Link on the BTC pair, but on the ETH BTC pair, it's not as clear. Maybe it's like still more in development.
Yeah, the thing about the bar bottom is, it's one of the strongest patterns for me, and the whole pattern, the reason it works so well is because it signifies a fast-paced moving reversal, and the fact that the we had, all this information coming about Grayscale shows
Hmm.
why these alts are the ones that are kind of leading the altcoin market. So you can see Ethereum, Bitcoin on the weekly, it was like the first one to actually play it out, and it was a while before the rest of them. So I use Ethereum and BNB as a kind of, just like I use the Bitcoin dominance. It's not 100% guarantee, but when I see both of these coins doing quite well, I think that it's definitely a positive thing for the altcoin markets, because Binance is the leading exchange.
Hmm.
Volume wise, people are going to buy BNB if they want to do margin loans to trade altcoins. So that's a positive thing if that increases. And Ethereum tends to increase just before altcoins, and it's also used, with all this DeFi kind of stuff as well. So
Yeah, yeah, that is a great point, and I totally agree with you. I mean, BNB definitely one of the leaders of the market in terms of exchange tokens, and then ETH, given that it's literally the biggest altcoin, if you will, right?
it had a crazy run, BNB. Like,
Yeah, BNB had an insane run over the last like week and a half. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's next week we see some massive movements, kind of like BNB for other altcoins as well.
I think it's definitely. Do you want to take over the screen?
Yeah, I mean,
You
I
want to
think we're
share a few alts before we
yeah,
finish up?
sure, sure. Let's do this.
Yeah, now that we had so much extra capital flow into the market, first of all, we had all this GME kind of drama, so that bring crypto into the eyes of so many new people, as well
Definitely.
as the Tesla purchase. So when we
Yeah.
see all this new capital coming into the market, I think it really gives us the chance of more of these kind of massive pumps. Just like you said,
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that more and more, especially Wall Street bets traders, more of the retail crowd is getting more and more involved into crypto, because I think it was a week and a half ago, Kraken, Gemini, Coinbase, all these exchanges, they started talking about they're seeing so much of an influx of
yeah,
clientele that they had to keep so many people on wait lists. They just said, hey, we cannot take on this many customers right now. You're just going to have to be waitlisted. So we know the herd is coming, or rather, it's already here, and they're just waiting to be onboarded, pour their money into the market. And I think part of that has to do with the crypto markets being so attractive and what's seemingly lucrative. But I think the other part of it is people right now, because of this COVID environment, we're kind of in this phase like, hey, what the hell do we do? We can't go out,
yeah.
can't hang out with friends, we can't party, can't do anything. Let me just gamble, right? Let me try to do something with my money. Now, I don't mean gambling in a negative way,
For the
investing in
average
crypto.
person,
For the average person, that's what they're thinking.
yeah.
There's so many videos, whether it's on TikTok or YouTube, everybody thinks that they can just become a day trader, but it is hard work, right? Like this shit is not easy. You think that anyone can just come into the market and start taking money from the market? No. This is, I mean,
That's how you think though when you start, like
yeah, exactly.
that's
Until you
how I
get
thought. I remember when I started, I thought, oh yeah, I'm just gonna log on and make some money.
exactly. And I think a
Couple
lot,
weeks later, I was had to look up, how to trade, technical analysis education because I started to lose money. So
Yeah, yeah, and everybody has to go through that process. I mean, I think if you come to the market with a certain sense of like humility and respect, and you realize, okay, this is a tough game, but I'm here to learn. And if you come to the market with that kind of approach, you can probably be better than, the 80-90% of the people who are going to lose money anyway, right? If you come in with the humility like that, chances are you might actually succeed a lot faster than other people. But the point is, we're at this very unique intersection point in the market where it is very giving because we're in a bull market. Like it's going to make everybody look like gods and geniuses.
anyone
But
can make money in the bull market. It's about who can keep it when it ends.
it, exactly, and that's the thing. How much of your money will you be able to keep when the market starts turning its winds and starts, shifting down to its either distribution phase or being marked down phase, and that's where you separate the boys from the men, you know, and you
Yeah.
realize like it ain't that easy to keep your money. It's great. Everybody looks like they're making money, and you have your unrealized P&L, you have your money in your account. But I think, the one thing that I've been telling my community for several years is unless you actually make use of that money, you change your life in a meaningful way and you start realizing that profit, meaning literally applying it to your life. It's just fucking numbers on a screen. Like it doesn't mean anything, you know?
You
So
gotta you gotta
don't,
enjoy the money you make as well. You can't just
yeah,
constantly trade and trade and trade. If you don't get outside and spend some of the money you make, and if
yeah.
you don't
One,
keep some of the money you make, if you're new and you take some wins and you don't take out some profits, if you do have a bad week, you might regret it. So always pay
100%.
yourself.
100%, and I'm totally with you on that. I mean, and I'm glad you sort of echo the same sentiment. I'm pretty sure that you have this kind of same mentality and mindset with your community, which is, dude, you got to be able to use your profit. Like if you want to be a trader, you want to be an investor, you need to know when to be able to take a break, take the weekends off, take profit, go and enjoy yourself, or else like what the hell are you even doing? Just
There's no trader that trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without a point where they get so burned out and so
Mhm.
wrecked that it's going to affect their trades, their motivation, their health, everything.
Definitely. And I don't know about you, but whenever I generally take a day or two off or the weekends off, that's like my reset time. And I can go into the following week just ready to kick ass. You know, if I just trade all through the weekend, all through the rest of the week, and then just do that over and over like a robot, yeah, I mean, sometimes, I'll make some good money. But like if I'm not spending that time with anyone or I'm not, using that for my own purposes, you just kind of feel, I don't know, demotivated or depressed. And it's not a good feeling.
100%.
And yeah, so it's not a good feeling. And I really do hope people who are watching this right now, like just keep that in mind as we go into the next leg of the bull market, and whenever this shifts to a bear market, you will have to deal with the ups and downs. How you deal with those ups and downs are ultimately going to be very telling of what kind of person you are, what kind of trader you're going to be going forward.
Yeah, trading is something that will definitely test your limits, and you learn a lot about your own mind if you want to do trading as a career.
Yeah.
I don't have a job. This is what I do for a living. I trade, and obviously I do the education services as well. But when you do it at this level, and you're constantly making these important decisions that involve a lot of your money, your finances, you will get to understand a lot about yourself. And some people, it's just not for them, you know.
Yeah. It's really
Uh,
not. And it's
Unless you
okay
find
to,
a style of trading that fits your personality.
I agree. And even that takes a little while. It takes a little while to be honest with yourself. And sometimes you just got to tell yourself, I suck at scalping or I suck at trading. And you might be better off as a, buyer and holder, or just a, I don't know, month to month investor or something like that, or have someone else invest your money, go find like a brokerage firm or something. But point is you got to be honest with yourself, and trading is the best sort of skill set, sport, whatever you want to call it, to make you recognize who you truly are, you know?
Yeah, that's a good thing to say. Yeah, it'll help you out, definitely recognize the type of person you are, and
Yeah,
it's a great tool to help you get your maximum potential by freeing up your time if you learn how to grow your wealth.
definitely. I totally agree. So let's do this, Dars. I mean, I'll just wrap up, talking about my community where people could find me, and then I'll shift it over to you, and you
Yeah,
can,
done.
pitch
Sounds
yours.
good.
Yeah. All right. Well, so most of you guys who have been watching us on YouTube, if you're new and you're watching it on Dars's YouTube, it's called Worth the Risk, correct?
My YouTube is Crypto Collective, so you go
Okay.
over yours, and I'll go over it quickly when you're
Okay,
done.
sounds good. So you can find us on thealphatrades.com. Our membership is $97 per month, and that gives you access to our private Discord right here. All the locked channels that you see, this is our community. We discuss Bitcoin analysis, where we have Bitcoin trading section. I'll post up my long positions or shorts or scalps that I'm taking, and then we have a pretty healthy Bitcoin chat where we discuss all things related to Bitcoin, and then altcoins right here, and then DeFi. And then we also have a US equities side as well, where I'm pretty active on the US equities front. And then the one thing that we started recently was I started a 5K challenge where I showed my community members, at the beginning of the year, I opened up a $5,000 account, and I show them pretty much videos like every single day of exactly how I'm trading the market, what I'm trading, how I'm sizing up and sizing out of a position, where I'm taking profit, where I'm keeping my stops. And so far, that account has grown to $19,400. This is
Nice
all,
job.
this is all live. Everything is verifiable. So my Advantage members have access to all of that. So yeah, this is our Discord, and like I said, you could find me on Twitter, the Alpha Trades, _Alpha Trades, or our website. And I will shoot it over to you.
Awesome. All right. So you guys have heard of me, or you haven't. If you're interested in seeing some more of the educational material I provide, we also have a membership, but we're not like a signals group or anything like that. So we're at discord.gg/Bitcoin, and that's the crypto collective community. If you join the Discord, it's just going to load up. Once you get into our server, you'll have to verify. You'll get like a message from a bot to verify. There is a free side. If you don't want to sign up for anything, you don't have to, and you can go up here to start here. And if you scroll to the bottom, it's got all my social links. If you want to follow my YouTube channel, or if you scroll down to the bottom of our Discord, you can close some of the channels down. And at the bottom, we have the educational content which you can download for free. Like these are some of my chart pattern cheat sheets that I've created. You can download for free. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to record the video with you, dude. And I think it's been good because I think we look at kind of similar things. We have a little bit of a similar style in a way. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, pleasure on my end as well, Dars. Thank you so much for doing this, and hopefully we get to do it again because I had a lot
yeah,
of fun,
definitely.
picking your brain.
We'll put out another video in a couple weeks or something, mate. Whenever you want.
Awesome, sounds good, man. Well, you take care. Good luck in the rest of the bull market, and
Thanks, my friend.
we'll catch up soon.
All right, see you, mate.
All right, cheers.